As someone who has more passion for the Metroid series than he has for Zelda or Mario, I say this with a heavy heart. If you want a game worth your money, whether it be on the original Nintendo Switch or Switch 2, I wouldn't recommend Metroid Prime 4. I've been playing Metroid Prime 4 again, and this is one of the hardest videos I've had to make in a while. This is a game that should have been one of my favorites. It's a game I waited more than half a decade for. It's the long-awaited return of one of Nintendo's most beloved franchises. After years of waiting and anticipation, I wanted this game to be incredible. Yet, after 20+ hours with it, I keep coming back to the same conclusion. I just can't recommend this game to someone else. Now, just to clarify, Metroid Prime 4 isn't a disaster, and it isn't some broken mess. There are parts of the game that are outstanding, but the more I play, the more I feel this game fundamentally misunderstands what I personally love about Metroid. And if you're someone who loves the series for the same reasons as I do, I think there's a very good chance you'll feel the same way. Let's start with the positives, because there are absolutely things worth praising here. Metroid Prime 4 is gorgeous on the Switch 2 and a worthwhile compromise on the Switch. The visual presentation is easily one of the strongest parts of the entire experience. The environments are detailed, the lighting looks fantastic, and there are moments where you'll just admire the scenery. The controls are excellent. Samus feels smooth and responsive. Movement is satisfying, combat feels good, and aiming never gets in the way. From a mechanical standpoint, the game feels polished. There are also moments where the atmosphere hits exactly the way a Metroid game should. Those moments reminded me why I was excited for this game in the first place. One thing that probably helped those early moments land so well is that I went in the game almost completely blind. I avoided previews, reviews, trailers, and pretty much all discussions surrounding the game because I wanted my first experience to be entirely my own. When I first arrived on Vuros, I was easily impressed. Those opening moments felt special. You're scanning flora, learning about alien creatures, reading environmental details, and slowly piecing together information about this strange world. It felt like Metroid Prime again. The sense of curiosity was there. The feeling of isolation was there. For a brief period, I thought this game completely understood what makes this series so special. Then I met Miles McKenzie, and for me, that's where things started falling apart. The second Miles appears, the entire tone of the game changes. Suddenly, the atmosphere that had been carefully built up gets interrupted by what feels like a clearly out of place character. The dialogue shifts, the pacing shifts, and the overall vibe shifts. From that point forward, the game never fully recovers. And coming from Metroid Dread's serious and mysterious tone, or even just replaying Metroid Prime Remastered, you can clearly feel the shift in tone. The problem isn't that Metroid can't have humor. The series has always had moments of personality. The problem is that Miles and the rest of the Galactic Federation NPCs feel completely out of place. Every time the atmosphere starts pulling me into the game, one of them would show up and drag me right back out of it. This becomes a recurring problem throughout the experience. This has been a big issue in modern gaming recently, and it's my biggest issue with Metroid Prime 4. Prime 4 is again yet another game that doesn't allow you to simply exist in its world. There's almost always somebody telling you where to go, what to do, what you're about to find, or remind you of something you already know. Instead of feeling like I'm exploring an alien world in classic Metroid Prime fashion, I often feel like I'm being escorted through it. For a series built around exploration, that's a huge problem. One of the things I've always loved about Metroid is getting lost. I love finding an obstacle I can't overcome yet and making a mental note to return to it later. I love discovering shortcuts and slowly building an understanding of the world. Prime doesn't completely abandon those ideas, but it constantly interrupts them with guidance and hand-holding. The result is that exploration starts feeling less rewarding and less organic. The best example of this comes from Viola and the desert region. At first, I actually liked the area. The music helps set the tone, and there's a really ominous atmosphere hanging over the entire place. Visually, it's striking, but the more time I spent here, the more frustrated I became. Eventually, I realized that the desert doesn't really feel like a meaningful location. It feels like a loading screen. A very large loading screen. The way the game separates its regions makes them feel more like individual dungeons rather than parts of an interconnected planet. Instead of feeling like you're naturally moving through a living world, it often feels like you're traveling between disconnected levels, which again disconnects us from the Metroid interconnected world and self-exploration fantasy. There's one sequence that perfectly sums up this issue. You get a specific chip, then travel through the desert, loading screen. Then you head to the cannon, another loading screen. Then you meet the NPC, sit through more dialogue, get a power up, go back to the cannon, another loading screen. Travel back through the desert, another loading screen. And finally, you're allowed to continue playing. That's not exploration. That's just commuting. The more often the game asked me to do things like this, the more it started wearing me down. What's frustrating is that the game already contains examples of better ideas. The cannon system is actually pretty cool. Launching yourself between locations feels exciting and far more efficient. I kept wishing the game leaned further into ideas like that, instead of making me repeatedly travel through areas that mostly serve as transitional space. The writing became another major problem for me. After the fire region, I reached a point where I simply turned off speech and subtitles entirely. Not because I couldn't understand what was happening, but because I genuinely felt the dialogue was making my experience worse. The two NPC companions were the biggest offenders. Every time the game tried to build tension or atmosphere, it felt like somebody immediately jumped in to make a joke, offer unnecessary commentary, or remind me of something obvious. Oh hey, there's more to explore here. Don't forget to save. Will she sign an autograph for me? The writing constantly calls attention to itself. It's always trying to be quirky, always trying to be cute, and always trying to fill silence that would have been more effective left alone. Maybe some players will enjoy that style of writing, but for me, it completely clashes with what I want from Metroid. This is one of Nintendo's most atmospheric franchises. It's mysterious, unsettling, and immersive. When I play Metroid, I don't want somebody narrating every emotion in the room. I want the environment to tell a story. I want silence. I want tension. I want discovery. I want to feel like I'm uncovering something ancient and unknown. Prime 4 occasionally captures that feeling, but it rarely allows it to last. It seems uncomfortable letting players sit in those moments for very long before another character starts talking. What's frustrating is that I don't think any of this comes from a lack of effort or care. Nintendo clearly cares about Metroid. The production values prove that. The visuals prove that. The sheer amount of polish proves that. This doesn't feel like a lazy game. It feels like a game made by talented people who genuinely wanted to create something special. And maybe that's exactly why it's so disappointing. Despite all that effort, I kept wondering if the team who built this actually knew anything about the Metroid franchise. Because when someone asks me why I love this franchise, my answer isn't side characters or constant dialogue. It's the atmosphere, the isolation, the exploration, the sense of discovery, and the silent stoicism that comes from Samus Aran. Those are the things that define Metroid for me, and they're the things I feel this game struggles to capture consistently. What's interesting is that I don't think Metroid Prime 4 is going to disappoint everyone. In fact, there are probably plenty of players who love it. If you're looking for a more story-driven experience, if you enjoy companion characters, if you like having clear objectives and direction, or if you want a more cinematic Nintendo adventure, this game may work far better for you than it does for me. And while again, I can't really recommend this game, I hope it does appeal to someone. I never want people to dislike a game just because I don't enjoy it. That just makes no sense. But if you're someone who loves Metroid for its atmosphere, its mystery, and its willingness to let players get lost, I think you should be cautious. The version of Metroid you're expecting may not be the version of Metroid this game actually delivers. For me, Metroid Prime 4 lands firmly in the do not buy category. Now look, I'm not saying it's terrible, and I'm definitely not saying it's broken. What I'm saying is that I don't think this game should be bought without knowing what you're getting. Watch gameplay, look for others' impressions, figure out whether the issues I've talked about are things that would bother you. Because for me, the strengths simply aren't enough to overcome the frustrations. The visuals are excellent, the controls are excellent. There are moments of genuine Metroid Prime magic buried inside this game. But those moments are constantly fighting against design choices that pull me out of that experience. At the end of the day, this is just one person's opinion. If you're loving Metroid Prime 4, that's great. I'm glad it's working for you. But for me, this game isn't what I think about when someone asks why I love Metroid. The atmosphere, the isolation, the discovery, and the quiet moments that made me fall in love with the series just aren't present often enough. And that's why I simply just can't recommend this game. But that's just my take. What do you think? Have you played Metroid Prime 4? Are you loving it? Are you disappointed by it? Let me know down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe to Controller Culture for videos like this one. Thanks for watching, guys, and as always, I'll see you all in the next one.